Okay, how's everybody doing today?
What's going on?
Now, we got some more, somewhat controversial, kind of.
But not. I mean, it's not like controversial in the aspect of. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I was trying to like make a smart point.
It's a big deal. It's about Fortnite.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try and debunk some of the things.
Almost video games in general. Well, not every video game, but
We agree and disagree on some things, but that's what these articles are for.
yeah.
So you can draw your own viewpoints from them.
Like and subscribe.
But what we want to get into is some addiction talk, because we know some of the things are just outlandish, where certain people are going to, they have a rehab now for people playing video games. And that's just ridiculous. I hate that, because that gives a bad name to people who play video games. Kind of. If for people who know what they're talking about, it doesn't, but when you look at it at face value, it looks bad.
Yeah.
So let's just jump straight into it. We're going to run through percentages of people that play video games, socialization aspects, because that's my background. I have a sociology degree.
Yeah. You studied this in school, so.
And we're going to get into the game that's the topic of everything, which is Fortnite.
Yep.
And Fortnite is just being used almost like I guess a scapegoat in this instance. I don't know.
And we'll kind of get into that too, just that game in particular being used.
But here we have an article by VentureBeat that goes into 65% of American adults play video games.
Yeah. Which isn't surprising now. You know, the adults now, like around our age, grew up with video games.
Yes.
The older people didn't grow up with video games.
No, Pong and stuff like that, it was kind of like a fad when it came out.
It was just starting, you know, like when they were, you know, reaching that, about our age now.
And I know I grew up with the Sega Genesis.
Yeah. Nintendo, all that stuff.
And then Nintendo was the big system that came out.
Game Boy, I remember the Game Boy.
The Game
Boy
Gear.
Color. Game Gear, yeah.
Yeah, Game Boy was a big deal. About 65% or more than 164 million people play video games.
That's just in the U.S.
That's just in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that's not including Japan. According to a new report by the Game Industry and Trade, each year the percentage of Americans playing video games has been going up. Now, that's not a surprise.
No.
Because the technology keeps advancing, they become more appealing. It's almost like watching a movie.
Yeah, especially games now in terms of like story writing.
My dad's playing games more and more.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it also depends on what do they consider video games. Do they consider like mobile games video games too? Because that'll cause the number to go up higher.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say
now,
to be that high, they would have to.
To me, and it doesn't go into all the specifics. It doesn't go into the number of kids. It doesn't go into certain aspects that I wish they hadn't left out. The ESA said 3/4 of all Americans have at least one video game player in their household. So 1/3. 1/3. 65% is not 1/3, idiot.
75%.
3/4, so 3/4.
Yeah.
It's just pure. So 1/3 is not. Then maybe that's what was stuck in my. 1/4 is not.
You just confused yourself by.
Sorry, I just completely destroyed my own self. So 65%, that's around 3/4.
Yeah.
Not quite there, but it's around 3/4. The report said that 93% of American households own a smartphone, and of those, almost half of them use to play video games. So yes, they are accounting.
Okay.
They are accounting for Americans playing.
You know, that number, as widespread as smartphones are now, that number still surprises me. That it's that
93%.
high. That it's that high.
I think it's because whenever somebody gets bored, or they get stuck in a situation around people they don't want to talk to, or they get stuck in a social situation they don't want to be in, and that's what I'm concerned about. They pull their phone out and start talking on it.
But I mean, the fact that 93% of American households own a smartphone.
And that's what I want to get into when we start talking about socialization. And I hope I don't cut you off a lot, but there's a lot of this stuff that running through my head. But
yeah, just talk whenever you need to.
You know, when we go through socialization and stuff like that, I'm afraid that people are using their phones and technology as an excuse to get away from socialization with
I think
other people.
they are. I agree with that.
And when you're an adult, since we're adults, it's not that big of a deal, because we grew up knowing how to socialize. We're still going outside and playing, and going over to a friend's house and staying the night.
We're right at the perfect age where we were right in the middle of the technology boom. But before that, we didn't have that stuff.
We are in a strange era, and that's why sometimes I think we struggle in different aspects that we shouldn't be.
The younger population now is the one that's kind of...
The younger population is in our realm, and we're in the realm of where the adults used to be, so we got this conglomerate of weird stuff going on. Our generation is weird.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange... But I'm hoping it seems like technology is being used to socialize people, and I think that's where the addiction comes in. The study shows that these individuals represent a cross-section of the American population. That's kind of where we get into the cross-section.
Yeah.
Diverse, active, and engaged in their communities, see video games as a positive force in their society. 79% of those surveyed said video games provide them with a mental stimulation as well as a relaxation and stress relief. Now, that can also play into addiction somewhat.
True.
If you're socialized on video games at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
More than half, 52%, are college educated. Now, there's different. I'm also going to bring up the point that correlation doesn't imply causation. And I'm going to say a bunch of fancy stuff in here, meaning that there are so many variables, lurking variables, in this article that don't account for that. Just because you went to college and you play video games doesn't make video games good, and doesn't mean because you went to college you're smart. That's not what that means. Anybody that has money or anybody that does well in high school can get into college.
Yeah.
That's not to say that you're a productive member of society. So there's, like I'm saying, and I'm not saying that you're not. I'm just saying there's so many variables in that video games bring people together in a fun, innovative way, with 63% reporting that they play video games with other people online. That's not a big deal, and I agree with that. There are certain socialization aspects that, can be good. You learn how to communicate with people, but it shouldn't be overblown.
I was going to say, well, something I was going to add is, video games are weird in that way, is how they equally socialize and desocialize people at the exact same time.
That's kind of what
social media is the same way.
Yes, I think that's what your point was. We're at a point where it doesn't really affect us too much because we know how to do it, because we were brought up to where
we were brought up to learn how to do that.
We could do that,
yeah.
And you know how to talk to people. These kids, and when we talk about Fortnite, and some of these kids playing Fortnite for 12 hours, which is just absurd. I don't even know how they find the time to do that. Even if I had a whole day where I could do that, I wouldn't do it.
No. It wouldn't keep my interest on.
No, that is an addiction, and I do want to get into more of that, but
yeah.
Basically, I'm going to skip past this article now, because it's basically just saying a bunch of people play video games. A lot of adults play video games. Basically, what I wanted to use this article for was a bunch of people are playing video games. Now, we get into your article, which is how much is too much.
At the end of that article, that was right down below, there was like some weird statistics. Anyway.
About what? Are they important?
They're not really important, they just surprise me. Like, it says video game players are more likely to pursue healthier lifestyles, averaging 7 hours of sleep during a weeknight.
Oh, I did read that. That's the point.
32% meditate regularly.
Well, that's the point where I get into certain lurking variables. Those could be cell phone players, James. You don't know how long these people are playing.
True.
Like, these people probably aren't playing Fortnite. They're not playing MMOs. They're not, because those games take so much of your time. Some of these people aren't sleeping.
Yeah, I know.
That's when it becomes a little ridiculous.
One last thing I will add at the end of that article is, the good thing is a lot of parents seem to be involved in the stuff their kids are doing, so at least they're doing
Well, okay.
I hope they're doing. I hope that's not
Where's that at? At the very...
it's right below what I was just reading about the healthier lifestyles.
I don't know, where's that at?
It's right down towards the bottom of the article. It's almost to the bottom of the article. It was.
74% of parents play video games with their children?
Yeah, those.
Thank you for skipping.
Yeah, I know, it skipped on me too. That's why I lost where I was at. 90% of parents pay attention to the games their child plays, is one of them. 57% enjoy playing games with their children. Yeah.
And see, this is where I start getting confused. Because there are certain things here that they don't mention that we don't get a hold of. If a kid is playing Fortnite for 12 hours, this is false.
No, I agree with you on that.
Because the parent is not sitting there with their child. That means the parent doesn't work.
Yeah.
How's the parent have the house?
Playing with your kid for 30 minutes isn't really playing with
No,
your kid.
that's not... Like I said, there's certain variables that we don't get into.
Yeah, anyway.
All I wanted to do was use this article, and I'm glad you saw that. Because when
I just thought they were interesting.
Well, when we start getting into addiction,
yeah,
that's false.
I agree.
Because if a kid
That's why they surprised me.
If a kid is playing a video game for 12 hours a day, a parent is not sitting in that room playing that video game for 12 hours a day.
No.
And if they are, they're not parenting. That's when we get into how much is too much. And I'm going to let you kind of do like a voiceover here, because this is your article. Yeah. And this kind of leads into more of the addiction aspect and what we're getting into.
So this is a Good Morning America article.
Just tell me where you're at.
I'm right at the beginning. Cash, a 10-year-old boy who lives in Los Angeles, this is the very first part, is obsessed with the game Fortnite. his mother says. So it kind of gets into it about how, it talks about how Fortnite is like one of the most popular games right now in the second paragraph.
And that's why it's in the limelight.
And that's why it's in the limelight. It could be any game that's, popular.
I'm looking
Okay,
at
going down to the third paragraph, it talks about, the pop culture add-ons it has, like it had the John Wick character and had all that stuff that got added in, which brings even more people in. And something else that it talks about, which is true, is that how Fortnite's available on tablets and iPhone and smartphones now. So you can take it anywhere you want. You can take it with you. You can play it at home. You can play it on pretty much any console, I think. Is it on Switch? I don't even know. Is it on the Switch now?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if it's on Switch, but it's on almost everything else. And then it shows you the little Fortnite app there in the picture. But going further down below that picture, it is one of the first totally social play everywhere video games with 250 million players. And Epic Games, which, did they make anything before this?
Yeah.
Anything super popular before this? Well, anyway, they're worth $15 billion now.
I feel like an idiot because they made a few games that were popular, but they didn't make it. Nobody's made anything that's popular.
No.
And now they have what's called Epic Game Store, and it's taking over Steam.
Yep.
And people are getting upset because they feel like Epic Games is going to take over the
all the like the PC. I know what you're saying.
And they're worried about that because they feel like they're going to hold certain things. The problem is, like on Borderlands, they're giving you a thing like if you pre-order or you do something, you get special stuff, and people are afraid of that. A PC gamer could explain it more. I'm not a PC gamer. I just know there's a fear with the Epic Game Store and it taking over everything.
Makings of a Habit is the title of this part of the article. So she talks about he wants his mother to wake him up 20 minutes early on school days just so he can play the game.
Then don't do it.
It's like a rush. It's like a drug. It's like an addiction. He doesn't even play in it for that long. He goes to school in 20 minutes. It's a 20-minute. Half the time you won't even have time.
It's like
to
a
finish.
drug.
Half the time you don't even have time to finish the game, the match in 20 minutes.
It's like a fix.
It is. He doesn't like play dates at other kids' houses anymore. He just wants to be in the house so he can play.
See, that's where I start getting into parents.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. That's something I was going to talk about along here. And then it talks about in the little next paragraph right below that, and this is where I was getting into it's equally socializing and desocializing children. He plays with friends from school, cousins in Costa Rica, and random people. So the game is socializing him to be social within the game. But in real life, he's not social at all. He's not interacting with anybody. Even his friends. He has friends that he plays with.
And how is that going to translate?
But he won't go to their house,
How is that going to translate into adult life when he has to get is he going to be a streamer? Which is fine.
Yeah.
But if he's not going to do that, he wants to get a job outside of, we do this. Is he not? What if he wants to get a regular job? He's not going to be able to do that because he's not going to.
Even just in terms of just normal social interactions with people.
There were people in college that were like this, that would get Fs. I was taking calculus, and you have to study in that.
Yeah. Oh, that's an advanced math course.
This guy, I walked out of class and I said, man, that was pretty tough stuff. We were doing solids. Riemann sum. And it's not that hard once you figure it out, but we didn't know how to take the area under certain parts and add them all. Basically, you're just adding area. It's not hard. But we didn't know how to do it at the time because it was new, and he said, I'm going to go and play Skyrim. I said, are you going to study? And he said, no, it's just too hard.
Then why are you there? You're wasting money.
Even if you don't want to be in college, you already spent the money. Just do it,
Just do it, yeah. And then in that same paragraph, there is kind of she allocates him to 1 hour a day during school nights. So she does do that. And then she leaves him unlimited time on the weekends.
And that's not a big deal. Because it's the weekend.
Yeah,
I mean,
she estimates he plays 4 to 5 hours. So, which is a long time, but if you compare it to 12 hours like we talked about before.
Some people are playing this game for 12 hours.
They are. Going down below that. Let's see, I'm trying to see where I want to read. Okay, here we go. Go down below that next picture, right where I was at. there's the longer paragraph, and then there's a smaller one below it. It
Watching
says,
Cash play.
confirms that Cash has spent $2,000 in the game. Do you see that?
Rusty confirms.
Yeah. Rusty confirms
Wait,
that Cash.
wait. Of whose money?
Hers.
Why did she allow that?
She says I can get him to do any chore I want if I pay him in Fortnite money. That's what she said.
Keep reading. I'm leaving.
They asked her, is there anything he'd rather be doing than playing Fortnite? And she said, that's a good question, but no.
She's reinforcing the bad behavior.
I know.
But
then
did
she
it.
complains about it. I know.
She reinforced him doing it, and then she wants somebody to help him out.
And then I don't know if this is like a misconstrued notion of like what he's doing and what she thinks he's doing.
Wait a minute. She basically walked up to a drug
She's
addict.
almost manipulating him, really.
She did. She basically walked up to a drug addict and said, well, the kid's not a drug addict, and said,
If you wash my
This is-
car, I'll buy this heroin.
yeah,
for
I'll give you a little rock.
Yeah.
Man, this is terrible. What he's bad.
Like they're gonna deny it. Like they're gonna say no.
You reinforced his fix.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get into offered conditions.
$2,000 is a lot of money.
Yes. I've never spent that much on a video game in my life.
It's not like she said he spent close to $200.
Jeez, that's more than the FIFA YouTubers during Team of the Season.
I know. And this kid's 10. And then right here it says, his mom said he often screams with joy at events in the game, and Cash admits he rages. So are they like misconstruing what each of them are doing there? Does she think that?
She probably doesn't even know what's going on.
I don't know.
A person that's giving their child money to do chores doesn't even know what's. That's the only way you can get him to do chores. No, it's not. Take the game away. Where are you at? I'm just completely left.
Okay. There was a part with $2,000, and there's a couple little small,
Effects on the brain?
sentences going down.
Or you want effects on
when
the brain?
someone kills you, you see that
Okay.
it's a little bit further down. Listen to what he says here. When someone kills you or you die of fall damage, now this part, not this part, but he says you get angry, you throw your stuff, which I broke stuff before playing games. But listen to what he says. He admits there are times when he forgets to eat, and times when his body tells him he's played too much.
Read the next line.
When you're just lightheaded and you can't get enough Fortnite, but it hurts inside.
He's addicted. That is addiction.
Yeah, when you feel like you can't go without it.
She needs to take it away.
She needs to
This
take it
is
away.
sad.
It is, it's sad.
And then we get it. Do you mind if I read this part?
No,
Because
go
this
ahead.
leads
Yeah, this is
directly
more
into
into what, yeah. Go ahead.
effects on the brain. A neuroscientist at the Marcus Institute of Integrated Medicine, Jefferson Health, blah blah blah. A gamer's brain to a non-gamer's brain. Now, okay, again, we get in different variables. How to see the response to different stimuli effects. Okay. Amato, a 12-year-old fellow student at Cash's school who loves music, basketball, and watching movies, fits the profile of a non-gamer. Occasionally playing car racing games, but overall isn't into video games.
Okay.
Now, there's the point. He's into other socialization aspects.
Yeah,
And does he play video games? Yes. But he's not addicted to it.
yeah, yeah.
Cash settled into an MRI machine while game footage was playing and a monitor bolted above his face. First to control, Newberg contrasted many a Fortnite video game from an older shooting game that doesn't neon colors, social integration, and fun dances, with a minute and neutral video, Birds at Sunset. The neutral video is colorful and moving, so it will stimulate some of the visual regions of the brain. By playing video of the older game on the monitor, Cash will see violence, action, many of the same stimuli that he sees in Fortnite. It just won't be his favorite game. After 10 minutes, Newberg stops the imaging and gives Cash a chance to move his arms and legs. Now for the Fortnite portion. To most accurately stimulate the experience playing video games, video was recorded from Cash's iPad. So there's the Fortnite player. And you can look at a skin interior on Cash's brain shows red and orange blooms and blood flow and stimulation compared between Fortnite and the images of the bird on the left. So there was no actual like real stimulation going on the left. On the right, look at the stimulation.
Yep. A lot more widespread. Dopamine. It says it right. That's what I was trying to think of, the stuff that the brain.
I'm trying to figure out if I read that right. Blood flows in comparison between Fortnite images of birds left, images of birds in a non-Fortnite game center, and between Fortnite and non-Fortnite gamer right. Okay, so is the right, I guess the far right.
The far right is the Fortnite.
Okay, so it's showing what stimulates an individual. So basically,
So look, I mean, look at the middle. The birds were the middle.
this kid has been conditioned. We're going to get into B.F. Skinner.
Yeah.
He's been conditioned and socialized to like this.
to react to that game.
And now he's addicted to it.
Yeah.
And is Fortnite the main problem? No. There are certain aspects in Fortnite. And I can't blame the business. I can't blame the business for wanting to sell their product. But it gets to a point to where you're like, parents, look, stop it before it gets to be a big deal. It talks about how it contrasts the brains. You get into dopamine. There are areas that are very involved in our reward system of the brain. He explains noting gameplay delivers dopamine, hits the brain reward center. And that's where we get into reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
You know why I got up and got so upset? Because I studied social aspects.
Yeah.
And I studied psychological aspects. Social psychology, dopamine in the brain, operant conditioning theory. And the reason why I get so upset is because when she reinforced that behavior, she activated,
She triggered that dopamine in the brain.
she reacted a reward section.
Yeah.
So now this kid knows that playing Fortnite will get him things.
I was going to say, not only does he enjoy playing the game, now there's an actual reward system.
Now there
to
is a
play the
reward
game.
for
Yeah.
doing it. So not only is he addicted to it, now he's addicted to it even more, because now he can go through life being rewarded by playing this game, especially since it's so much
And
fun
when
for
he
him.
gets older, that reward stuff is going to stop. It's going to slow down. Like,
Big-
assume it would.
And that's when the frustration we get.
Yeah.
I talked about frustration aggression hypothesis. I don't have an article on that, but that frustration aggression is going to increase anymore.
Yep.
And here's where I am fearful for this child. He is going to increasingly get frustrated as life goes on, because he's not going to be rewarded as much as an adult for playing this game unless he's a streamer
Yeah.
and gets money for it. He's not going to be rewarded as much because playing video games doesn't always get you places in life. And if he's addicted to this game, what's his behavior going to be like, James? Is he going to become extremely aggressive towards certain people?
That's what that's. I feel like that's exactly what it causes people to
Because
do.
it's going to become like a withdrawal for people. They can't get rewarded for what they're doing anymore. So the thing that brought them so much joy is now being
It's gone.
it's a demon to them. So now they're stuck every day just pissed off.
Yep.
What's that going to do? The dopamine's not going to be, the drug's going to be gone.
Yeah.
That chemical in the brain is like an addictive drug. And it's not going to be there anymore.
Yep.
So what's going to happen to them? It's scary.
I mean, it's so bad now that there's an actual disorder. You know.
Child video game addictions, facts and solutions. We'll get into this article. You want to read some of those bullet points for me?
You just found it in this article? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just read some of the bullet points.
What percentage of teens and children are addicted to video games? Why are video games so addictive to children and teenagers? What are the most addictive types of video games for children and teenagers? There's a lot of them on here. How many hours should they play? How many hours per week indicates a child's addicted? You can read them all. How does child video game addiction affect school grades? So basically, it's just going into how addiction affects children and all of it.
What percentage of teens are addicted to video games? I was kind of reading this. The problem answering that question, video game addiction is not officially classified as a mental health condition. You can kind of consider that what we just read. Although the parents of children, now by no means are we neuroscientists,
No.
but I do have a background in sociology, in psychology. So parents of children protest every time they are asked to quit and have little interest in other activities would probably argue otherwise. Video game addiction has not been recognized as a true psychological disorder. Therefore, unlike a problem like compulsive gambling, there is no list of universally accepted video game addiction symptoms. Now, we get into loot boxes and stuff like that. We talked about loot boxes.
Yeah.
That is now being considered an addictive habit, and it is being considered predatory.
Yep.
Because when we just looked at what we looked at before, and we get into operant conditioning, you can start to see why it's such a problem. The problem entering, as a consequence, they go on to talk about how certain games can be addictive, online gaming, social connections, and the appeal of virtual worlds. People can get on and be something different than themselves, and it's grown even more. Why some kids become addicted to video games. In summary, it can be argued that video games take what children naturally find interesting. It does.
It does.
Offers opportunities to explore those interests in a seemingly more engaging and visually stimulating format. It is more visually stimulating, and you can get lost in it. You can relax. You're not having to go through certain stresses that you would have to do in social aspects.
Yeah.
You can hide from the uncertainty of maybe asking a girl out, or going on a date, or trying to find new friends, or trying to make a sports team. You can take away that pressure.
Yeah.
And alleviate that with, anybody can get on and play a video game.
Yeah.
So that kind of preys on that, which allows the player to temporarily adopt a more exciting, powerful, appealing virtual identity. I talked about how you can get away from...
Yeah. And I was going to say, some people play games like World of Warcraft and they get so involved and so into it, they have online marriages, stuff like that. It's just...
Yeah, I know. Which allows for virtual experiences impossible in the real world, which requires much less effort than pursuing more interests otherwise.
Which is what you just said.
It reinforces continued play through online social connections, obligation to teammates, rewards for continued play, a carefully crafted sense of gradual accomplishment, and well-established principles of psychological behavioral reinforcement.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into, operant conditioning, Fortnite addiction. This game is like heroin. Maybe I'll talk about this next to last, because I did just talk about operant conditioning. I do want to mention a point, how this is causing people to not know how to socialize.
Yeah.
When we play Warframe, what's the most upsetting thing that we do in that game? I think we just did it last night. The raids, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
Eidolons.
Yeah.
You know why that's so frustrating? It's not because of the objective.
No.
The objective is fun. I like a challenge.
Well, it's going to be hard anyway when you go into it. That's what it's supposed to be.
But it epitomizes like the peak.
Yeah.
It's almost like the end game form, because when you fully max out your Warframe and you get a weapon like the Rubico Prime, you can go in and with a chroma or people with high damage, high crit damage, and dominate a giant enemy with cool lore, cool backstory.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a new area. But the problem is other people. When you get a good group of people, it's fun. Just like any aspect in life.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed with these people, these elitists who play this certain game mode, they talk a certain way to you. And if you don't do it just the right way, you're now an idiot.
Yeah,
well, dude, I'm playing a fake game, killing a fake creature, or capturing it. And if I don't do it right, instead of trying to force me off the game, which hurts the game because if new players don't get into the game, guess what? The game's going to die. And your little elitist attitude is going to be gone from the game because it won't exist anymore. But we've captured several Eidolon, and some people... You remember those one people I said, the door, it did it again. And this person got on and started calling me Brittany and stuff like that, making fun of me, and wouldn't get off of it. At first it was funny, and then it was just like...
It just kept going.
You know what we did? Turn the game off.
Yeah.
We didn't sit there and complain about it, get in an online forum and go, this person made fun of them, I just turn the game off. But that's what it does. And what my point is, these people act like it's normal, because the response we got later, you remember what they said later? Why did you get mad?
Oh, yeah.
What?
They're not
So
socialized.
you
They
weren't
don't
trying
know how
to
socialize.
Yeah, that was your point. You said to me, Cody, these people think it's normal to talk like this.
Yeah.
Because they talk to each other this way.
Yep.
And I've heard it online, they'll talk to each other this way, and then they'll just forget about it like a confrontation didn't
Like
even happen.
nothing happened. Yeah, they do.
I'm sitting there going, they just test each other out.
It kind of freaks me out sometimes.
It does.
And it confuses me, because I'm like, are these people like mentally stable?
They
or
don't.
Okay?
They don't know how to socialize.
No.
And they're like teenagers.
Yeah, and they'll be like our age, like 30, and they'll talk like they're 13.
And I guess they were socialized at a younger age, and they didn't go out. Those were the people that didn't go out and do other things.
I guess.
But we get into simple psychology and the socialization aspect, Skinner operant conditioning theory. I'm trying to get through this stuff so fast.
Yeah.
The work of Skinner was rooted in very classical conditioning and was far too simplistic. He called this, it goes into human behavior. He believed that the way to understand behavior is to look at the causes of an action and its consequences. He called this approach operant conditioning. Skinner regarded the father of operant conditioning, a new term of law effect, reinforcement. Behavior which is reinforced tends to be repeated. strengthened. Behavior which is not reinforced tends to die out or be extinguished.
Which makes sense.
So if you ignore a behavior, eventually it will be extinguished, meaning eventually it will go away.
Which is why when people go through rehab, they're put in the room,
And
there's
they're-
nothing around them, and they're just
They're not
they have
given
to-
the drug.
Yeah, they have to let their body go through the process of
It's
not wanting it
withdrawal.
anymore. Yeah.
Now, there can be violent withdrawals,
Yeah.
and when a person becomes so addicted to something, they can die from that withdrawal
Oh,
because their body can be reliant
especially
upon
if they've
that.
done it for 20 years.
Now, do I think video games could do that? No, because I don't think
It's a little bit
the
different
chemicals,
because they're not affecting the body in like.
No.
It's not like smoking.
the brain is, those are natural chemicals. I think
Yeah.
it would just, I don't think it would kill somebody.
It would probably it would set them into a rage definitely, but it would no. I don't think it would kill them. No.
They showed the Skinner box with a mouse. There's a pellet dispenser, a speaker. Skinner identified 3 types of responses: neutral, operants, responses from the environment, reinforcers, and punishers. So basically, whenever the mouse did something wrong, it was punished.
Yeah.
So it would stop doing that.
Yeah.
And whenever it did something right, it would be reinforced through a pellet. Now, we went back to your article. Let's go back to it for a second.
Okay.
What did that mother do?
She used the V-Bucks in the game to get her child to do something, and then reinforced his behavior by giving him money to spend.
So she complained about the bad behavior, right?
Yeah.
Him playing the video game. His
Yeah.
bad behavior was the video game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get certain special aspects wrong because I'm trying to rush through this and I'm not going into all the technical psychological aspects. I'm trying to get the overall gist of it. She reinforced his what she called bad behavior.
Yeah.
She gave him money to buy V-Bucks, which reinforced him playing the game.
And it made it even worse by her using that to cause him to do something.
Yep,
for her.
she reinforced his addiction.
So she's almost doing it to her and him. You know what I'm saying?
She reinforced his addiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we get into variable schedules, reinforcement, limit nutrition, and we get into something that's even more damaging than Fortnite.
Yeah.
You know, schedule reinforcement. The one I wanted to get to was variable schedules of reinforcement. A variable schedule of reinforcement is far more effective in maintaining behavior than a constant predictable schedule of reinforcement. One psychologist explained to me it this way: if you have a new car, one that always has started easily, and you get in one day and turn the key and it doesn't start, you may try a few times because you've already been conditioned that that car works.
Yeah.
You love the car works.
Yep.
You're so used to it starting up, so you keep turning the
You're
key.
going to assume that it's going to come on.
You keep turning the key, but soon you're going to decide something is wrong and go call the garage. Your key turning behavior is the absence of exceptional immediate reinforcement. Quickly extinguishes or dies out because you were punished. That was a punishment. The car didn't turn on, right?
Yeah.
So that behavior extinguished. You turning the key extinguished that behavior. So what did you do? You took the car somewhere where you know it could be fixed, so you could be then rewarded for your car turning back on.
Yeah.
So then you're going to start the behavior of turning the key again and again, and that gets into awkward conditioning. Your key turning behavior is the absence of expected immediate reinforcement. Okay. If on the other hand, you have an old clunker that almost never starts on the first try and often takes forever to get going, you may try to start for half an hour. Because you know it's going to start sometime,
Yeah.
but it may not start immediately. So there's not that immediate reinforcement. Here's where we get into variable. Doesn't start for half an hour. Your key turning behavior is on a long variable schedule and therefore strongly maintained. Now let's turn to this even more variable. Let's say you turned it and after maybe not half an hour, 15 minutes. So now you're sitting here thinking, oh, maybe it's getting better.
Yeah.
The next day it goes to 45 minutes. So you're frustrated. So you turn it again, 10 minutes. So now this isn't going to be as much as an addiction because there's not as many reinforcers in this aspect.
It's not necessarily like he's just using that as an easy example to use.
Now let's get into slot machines.
Yes.
Or it talks about a dolphin and a fish.
Yeah.
The dolphin jumps, you don't feed it.
I was
The
reading
dolphin
that.
jumps,
I was reading that part.
you feed it. The dolphin jumps 2 more times, you feed it. The dolphin jumps 3 more times, you don't feed it. It jumps 4 more times, you feed it. So basically, it doesn't know when it's going to be reinforced. So it keeps jumping, right?
And what it talks about in here about the dolphin jumping is if you feed it every time it jumps, it's going to start jumping like it's not going to give as much effort each time because it knows
it's
that no
gonna
matter
be
what
rewarded.
it's going to be rewarded. And then if you start rewarding it at random, it's going to maintain that level of jump out of the water. That's what it says.
Now, what are we saying? You never reinforce certain behavior in an immediate schedule? No. If you want certain small behaviors to continue, like a child getting out of a bed, how do you continue that schedule of reinforcement? An alarm clock.
Yeah.
The alarm. That's why whenever you hear that tone, do you ever hear your alarm sometimes on the TV? Like your alarm tone whenever you set a tone on your phone?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Do you ever hear that tone sometimes repeated?
Oh, yeah.
Does it ever startle you? Yeah, because you're used to that waking you up.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear that same tone, that mine is a little bit more stimulating. So mine goes beep 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 beep.
Yeah, I have
beep,
like
beep, beep.
I have like a thing I set on my phone.
And it slowly increases so it doesn't just shock the crap out of
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
But it does that. So whenever I hear that on TV, and I've heard that sometimes, it like shocks me awake. Even if it's like even if it's like midnight, because I'm conditioned.
Which is why, like when I wrestled, I could sleep in like the big arena, and there'd be people all around me yelling, but certain sounds would like alert me and get me up.
That's why, like ASMR,
yeah.
certain things will trigger certain things in the brain, and maybe you were conditioned that at a young age. I don't know. Certain things are stimulating.
Which is why things like haircuts and things like that are popular within ASMR, because it's something that you remember as a kid that stimulated you and calmed you and relaxed you.
So certain things will reinforce behavior.
Yeah.
So alarm clocks will reinforce a behavior continuing. Now, will you get out of the bed the same way every time? No. That's our point.
Yeah.
You just want that behavior to continue. But these people who are making games, let's get into loot boxes.
Yep.
That will continue to people. FIFA. You buy and you buy and you buy and you buy. Seeking what? Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yep.
Well, the people making the game know if you get an 85 rated player or a walkout or something just explosive and stimulating every time, you're going to continue to do that every once in a while.
And if you look at the way the animations have changed as the games come out every year, it's gotten more and more.
Remember the comments?
Explosive.
I want to buy the game just for the walkouts.
Yeah.
They are stimulating certain parts of the brain.
They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing, and it is predatory, and it needs to stop.
That part is definitely predatory.
EA, sorry, I used to love you, starting to hate you. Actually, I've started to hate you for a long time. But they don't care, and they prey on certain things. Now, I understand they're a business, they try to make money, but they screw people over. They don't care about making good games anymore. Is FIFA even a good game anymore? James, even Ultimate Team has been suffering.
True.
And they don't even try to fix their game. So we get into variable schedules of reinforcement and why it's so addictive, because you are varying the reinforcement to where somebody gets frustrated, then they get rewarded. Frustrated, rewarded, frustrated, rewarded. So they don't know when they're going to be reinforced, right? So they continue to do it. And the last thing I want to get into, how does socialization affect child development?
And this kind of sums everything up, I guess.
Socialization 101, the role of the family. Your family provides your kids lessons in socialization. Stated simply, socialization is the process whereby individuals, especially children, become functioning members of a particular group and take on the values, behaviors, and beliefs of the group of other members. Socialization is important. You need role models. A video game does not need to be a role model.
No.
Because what that does is it causes... let me just get to this point.
No, go ahead.
A video game as a role model, what does it do? Okay, it reinforces... The kid gets a high off of playing the game. But does it teach you how to socialize with kids? Not in the real world.
No.
Does it teach you how to get a job? Does it teach you how to write a resume?
Nope.
Does it teach you how to eat and sleep right? No, it's like a drug dealer.
Yeah.
It's like a drug dealer. Basically, the game is like, hey, little kid, come on and play this game. Get a high. Come back and play this game. Get a high. Come back and play this game. Get a high. Don't care if you go to sleep.
Yep.
And MMOs can be bad in that aspect because
Definitely.
not always online MMOs. Because if you're not online and somebody can kill you, all of a sudden you think to yourself, oh my god, I have to play this all the time, right? I never play those.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to.
No.
I'm not going to play Gamer Say online all the time.
No.
I have other stuff to do.
I tried. I couldn't.
Yeah, you played RuneScape.
I played RuneScape and it's just...
Early childhood socialization. This is big. Early childhood experiences outside the home can have a major impact on a child's early socialization, and it makes it easier for him to transition to school. Attending the library hour, playing on the playground, or staying at grandma's house for a few hours can teach your little one how to listen to a teacher, separate from mom or dad, and cope with other kids. Each interaction helps your child move more comfortably among social groups and adjust to changing environments. This makes for a happy, healthy kid and allows you to feel less anxious about watching him fly or her fly, because it allows them to grow healthily.
Yeah.
if they don't get to grow early on, they are going to be addicted to this early on.
Yeah.
And once they become a teenager or an adult, it may be too late. Do not let your kid go through this.
Which is why I've always told people, find some type of sport or hobby or group or something for your kid to do. Just get them out. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a choir or even stuff like church every Sunday or anything. Just get out there and do something. It doesn't matter what it is.
This game is like heroin, Fortnite addiction, same against rehab. I said the last one's going to be the last one I got into, but parents are losing the battle against their kids' Fortnite addiction, turning to professionals. Talks about Carson's story, and here's what I wanted to get into. Michigan from Debbie Vitney said in an article her son 17 years old, has been logging into playing Fortnite up to 12 hours a day. Dude, how? You're in high school. Does he go to school?
I don't know. So that means, you have to put, well, he's not getting 8 hours of sleep a night, definitely. So say he's getting 4 hours of sleep a night. So that's 20 hours, 12 hours on the game. What, 6 hours in school? 6 or 7 hours in school?
Has to be 7.5.
So that leaves an hour.
It's
30 minutes to an hour.
7.5.
It's 12 plus
Oh my
4.
God, dude. 7.5, that's 19.5 hours. So you got 5 hours left of
12
sleep.
plus 4 hours of sleep would be 16 hours plus what? 6 to 7 hours.
So you're getting about 3 hours of sleep a night. Because he has to still eat. I bet he doesn't shower.
No, I guarantee he doesn't.
I have 3 daughters, one absolutely hooked on Fortnite. My 12-year-old lost her electronic device. Basically goes, what about parenting? People ask. I remember times when parents actually did parenting thanks to bad parenting. Basically, life, like most things in life, the issues around Fortnite pools are complicated. Well, I believe parents need to do whatever it takes to get their kids playing Fortnite 12 hours a day, including throwing the game and console in the trash. I also know this. Sometimes parents and children need professional help to solve their problems, and that's never wrong. Now, that's true. That is true. And I think they're trying to point out the aspect, look, there's always other variables out there that you can't account for.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. If a kid is playing Fortnite 12 hours a day, especially if they're 17 years old, that's your fault.
Yep.
That's your fault. Now, if the kid is starting to become addictive and you don't know what to do, professional help, you know what? So, I can't blame people for doing that. If you don't know what to do, professional help may need to be sought out.
Yeah, I mean, if you need to do it, do it. Don't be scared to do that.
But this is a little absurd.
12 hours a day is absurd.
This is a little absurd.
I would assume that's not the norm, but even still.
No, but and the last thing I want to point out is Fortnite the enemy? No.
Plus, you have to remember, Fortnite is being used because it's one of the most popular games among kids right now. If it was
Do you remember WoW?
Skylanders or something that was like that,
There's going to be some memes that come out here pretty soon. Where you remember those documentaries that we used to watch on YouTube about WoW players, and how this dude would be like 45 years old and he'd be sitting, Mom, dude, you're still having to live at home. That's one thing, but get up off your ass.
Do something.
Excuse me, but get up off your, get up and get it yourself.
Mowing the yard. Do something.
Everybody gets stuck in a bad situation sometimes, but that's a little bit, dude.
Need my hot pocket. We said that South Park episode.
That's not
like
a
that.
joke.
Remember that South Park episode?
That's not a joke.
No, there's people that actually do that.
So what we want to say is Fortnite the enemy? No, but things should be monitored.
Yes.
So
as a parent, monitor what your children do.
Yes. So anyway, guys, everything in moderation.
Yep.
Should your kid be able to play a game? Yes. You can use that as a reinforcer, but don't limit it.
In one of the articles, they talked about there are things that games do cause, children to do motor functions and things like that.
Yes.
Which are good things, but
not 12 hours a day.
But don't let the addictive nature sink into it.
But and by that we mean if bad behavior starts to happen, don't reinforce it by giving them money to play the game.
And handle it early. Don't let it go on and then try and solve it. Handle it before.
Kind of like those parents who go to the store where the kid screams and screams and screams, and they keep reinforcing the bad behavior by giving them something.
Yeah.
So the kid knows now that every time they go to the store and scream, they're going to get something.
Yeah.
Kind of like we talked about the alarm clock, or the dolphin jumping continuously if you feed it every single time.
Yeah.
It's going to do it every time. May not do it to the extent of that, but it's going to do it.
It knows it's getting something, yeah.
So don't reinforce bad behavior is what we're getting at.
Yep.
Find a way to reinforce other behavior. If they're not doing that, teach them the fun. if this starts, show them the fun of social groups.
Yeah.
Then they will be addicted to, man, this is fun.
Yeah. Like I said, get them out and do anything. I don't care what it is.
Everything in moderation. Anyway, guys, if you like this content, we went into some really technical aspects today. Fortnite is not the enemy. It needs to be monitored. Parents need to do the parenting, yes, but sometimes professional help needs to be sought out.
Yeah, just whatever you need to do to solve it.
Yes.
Do it. Don't be afraid to
Leave a
stop it.
like and then or leave a, if you like our content, leave a like.
Yeah.
Make sure to subscribe to our content as always. Hit the notification bell so you're always updated to our future content.
Yep.
And comment in the comment section down below, letting us know what you feel about the subject. Some people may be very passionate about this. If you're a parent, let us know if you're having a problem with this. Let us know what you tried. Let us know if what we talked about, maybe it's just not working, and maybe certain outliers, things you just can't account for and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And again, as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Have a good day.
And remember, our gaming content's
Yeah,
coming up.
yeah.
So we're going to try and do that. First video was that we filmed was a little odd, but we hope you're going to enjoy that when we're gone. But you want to take us out?
I remember today.
It's fading out. Okay, now we're gone.